What does a Western sound like? Gunfire? Horses? How about trains? Or saloons? Or, you know what, just throw anything by Morricone on there. The answer is yes. Those are all familiar sounds of the Western. But my first thought is the wind. As much as the West is a frontier of opportunity, it's also one of oblivion, of those who chase fortune and fate only to find themselves in a land empty of meaning, a land where the wind outlasts everything. One film that stands out here is No Country for Old Men. It's defined by its quietness, resisting the conventions of musical spectacles. Here, there is no country for old men. No ultimate showdown, no clear answers, no poetic justice, and no music, at least not in the usual sense.
There just ain't no way.
No Country is a Western, but it's also a crime thriller, and the soundscape has everything to do with that. The use of sound to build tension is the product of the close collaboration between composer Carter Burwell and sound editor Skip Livesey. Here's Skip with more.
Not having music and not helping the audience to know where we're going to go next was a gigantic boost to the suspense of the film. You really did not know what was going to happen next, and you were never given a hall pass to think, oh, okay, well, this is going to happen now, get ready, because here it comes.
We can see what Skip means in this scene from A Fistful of Dollars.
It's a warm evening.
Even seconds before Ramon Rojo's ambush is revealed, the soundtrack already tips us off. The music is a warning signal, framing the moment as charged and perilous. Now compare it to a similar scene from No Country. Nothing announces the moment except the wind. Its lonely rush seems to suggest inevitability. Because we only hear what the characters hear, we're placed inside their situation rather than above it. We know Carla Jean is in trouble, but there's no music to shape our expectations, to tell us when or how the suspense will break.
That's the way it is.
Of course, as much as these examples feel silent, it's not like nothing's happening. Take this scene. The sound design is easy to miss, but there's a lot happening here. Those sounds aren't there because the mic happened to catch them. They're choices, each one made by Skip.
For my definition, sound design is stuff that you can't record. You gotta take some recording sound, something from somewhere, and paste it together and make something that a filmmaker can grab onto and approve and want to put in the movie. I mean, it's some really serious goopus.
The goop demands so much attention because it helps build the world, and in No Country, that job belonged to the wind.
Skip really came in, and the winds that they put in, all of which are really kind of the score of the movie.
In Westerns, the music often gives voice to the landscape, shaping our understanding of the setting. Listen to the lyrics in this scene from High Noon.
Do not forsake me, O my God.
At this point, Marshall Kane's wife abandons him as she refuses to see him risk his life to settle an old score. Then later, near the climax, and just before the big fight, when he realizes the entire town has forsaken him, the melody returns. Perhaps the most popular example of music articulating the setting is when it mythologizes the West, accompanying the lone gunslinger. No Country takes a counter approach. It's hardly romantic about the West, and it doesn't spell anything out. In fact, it longs for simpler times that made more sense. And except for a few shots of vistas, our story takes place in motels, overpasses, washed out streets, and trailer parks. This is the West Texas stripped of any symbolic promise, and the empty soundscape voices that void, especially through the restless wind. Of course, much of this comes from the novel, where the minimal dialogue and lack of music feel like a natural extension of the author's writing style. But even further, it also nods to Sailing to Byzantium, the poem behind the title, which links music to youth and ignores the old. This is exactly Sheriff Bell's experience. The world he thought he understood has grown harsher, stranger. Like many old-timers, he feels the world has moved on without him.
I feel overmatched.
And as the film ends, the only sounds, a clock and the wind, reflect the sheriff's mortality and emptiness. Like the poem, music is not linked with the old, but the young, or more to the point, the violent. No Country doesn't have traditional music, but it does have music of a sort. Here's the composer to tell us more.
Joel and Ethan would flag certain scenes where we need a little something there. So the solution that I came up with in the end was to have what are called completely steady state sounds. They don't have a beginning and they don't have an end. Things like sine waves, these things called Tibetan singing bowls.
The scene where Javier Bardem is sort of interrogating that guy in the gas station, Carter did something which just kind of rises. It's not music, it's a tone.
Call it.
But it's acting musically in a way, the way that score does.
All right. Heads then. Well done.
In a story that reckons with violence, these tones are linked to it. They only appear with Chigurh or else at the edge of some tragedy. The closer you get to his world, the more you hear it. It's actually with Chigurh's introduction that we hear the first tones, an open fifth that hums beneath the wind. The sound feels primal and elemental, making his presence all the more unsettling. We never get a tidy explanation for Chigurh's violence or bleak code. What we get through sound and silence is the impression that he springs from the emptiness around him, as if the barren country has given rise to a barren soul. No Country for Old Men is a quiet western that resists the operatic style popularly associated with the genre, but through its use of sound and silence, it develops a long-standing theme in westerns, the relationship between the land and its people. And to tell a story in a lonely West Texas where characters confront fate, coincidence, and life's frequent confusion, you have to go back to the open country that births these things.
Yeah.
You have to listen to the wind. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I really appreciate all of your support. If you enjoyed this video, please hit those buttons. I just wanted to pop in real quick to say that I've launched a Substack. There I'll post reflections, ramblings, and bits that don't make the video, so if you're curious, stop by, and I'll see you in the next one.